Assalamu alaikum. Recently, a nutcase in Norway tried to burn the Quran. He said he was angry at the rising numbers of Muslims in his country. In fact, far-right Europeans have been complaining about the high birth rates of Muslims and other minorities for many years. The sentiment on the other side of the Atlantic is similar. Americans are worried about the rising population of immigrants who are taking their jobs away. The US government has tightened their immigration policy and are trying to build a wall to stop illegal immigration from Mexico. In fact, this problem of a growing population worries everyone. The United Nations is worried about the number of people in the world reaching 11 billion in a few years. When that happens, they say, the impact human beings are having on the climate will become irreversible. These are a series of small pictures about population growth. Each individual picture gives us the impression that our resources are limited and there will soon be too many people to share them with. It's time, though, that we stepped back and saw the big picture. Human beings have had a steady population for thousands of years. Our numbers grew so slowly that it wasn't noticeable. That changed with the invention of the steam engine. All throughout the 19th century, production became cheaper, jobs increased, and healthcare improved. People moved from rural areas to cities. The population started growing at an increasing rate. To understand what this means, think of the speed and acceleration of a car. The growth rate of a population is similar to the speed, and the increase in the growth rate is similar to acceleration. So, with the Industrial Revolution, we stepped on the population accelerator. Over the last 150 years, the population of the world grew from 1 billion to almost 7.5 billion today. That is the hockey stick graph that shows exponential growth. And it is natural that we would extend this trend into the future. If the population keeps growing like this, it will soon explode to 11, 12, 100 billion. And if we can't produce food that much faster, there will be misery and suffering for everyone. So the best thing to do would be to control the population. This is how David Attenborough put it.
50 years ago, when the WWF was founded, there were about 3 billion people on Earth. Now there are almost 7 billion. Over twice as many, and every one of them needing space. Space for their homes, space to grow their food, or get others to grow it for them, space to build schools and roads and airfields. Where could that come from?
Several countries have launched population control programs in the 1970s. China is famous for its ruthless one-child policy, India for its forced sterilization of 8 million men. Various other countries employed other tactics to control their population. And we accepted all of this because we understood the necessity of population control. The problem is that this picture is not complete. Population growth rates did increase until the 1970s, but they have been declining since then. Data from the World Bank shows that population growth is decelerating. To continue with the analogy of a moving car, population growth is slowing to a stop and will then go in reverse. The global population is expected to peak between 8 and 9 billion around 2045 and then start decreasing rapidly. So the reality is not a population explosion, but an implosion. And why is this happening? It turns out that better healthcare led to lower child mortality. With more children surviving, family sizes grew very large. Parents struggled to support these 6 to 8 children families. When the children grew up, in these difficult circumstances, they decided they would not have such large families themselves. So population growth is slowing. That might sound like a good thing, but actually, it's a problem. You see, when the population is increasing, there are more young people than old people in a society. The younger population works and supports the fewer old people through care and taxes. But when the population is shrinking, like it is in Japan, the number of old people is more and young people is less. There are very few people around to earn for and take care of the older generation. Also, a smaller population of young people means fewer people available to work. Any business looking for employees will have to struggle and pay much higher wages. The economy will slow down, making everyone poorer. That's the impact of a population implosion, and it is just 2 generations away. Our grandchildren are likely to face this sort of future. National governments all over the world continue to spend valuable resources on controlling population growth. That's a pity, because the population will decrease on its own anyway. These same resources could instead be spent on educating the next generation and taking care of their health. They will need all the skills they can get to deal with the challenges of their time. So remember, whenever you hear about the population explosion, think implosion, because that is the big picture. I hope you benefited from this video. If you did, please subscribe for more big pictures like this one.